Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the world receiving our signals via the magic of el Internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom again? Created by we the people of the United States, we the people of the world. Folks, we have a lot to talk about today. We are going to have a great show today. First of all, folks, though, before we get started, let's go to the geniuses in the studio. Senator Howard Reynolds, Jacques Van Bever, and Mayana. How you guys doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
Good morning.
I'm doing good. Good morning, Jack. How you doing this morning, sir?
I'm good, sir. I'm good, sir. Howard's doing some work.
Howard, where are you? At least I hope you're listening to the program, Howard. I'm kidding.
You know he is.
Yes, he is. What's up, Jack? Let me tell you, we can't get started without getting the word of the day, the wisdom of the day from the one and only Jacques Van Bever.
All right, Egberto. Okay, yesterday we talked about the mainstream media being corrupted by media ownership in too few hands. We also mentioned that the architects of Project 2025 are now Trump's cabinet members and are implementing Project 2025 as we speak. We also mentioned how the FCC is cracking down on radio stations. I asked this question, why do they want to silence us? Because when they silence us, they silence you. We are your free speech radio. We are here to protect and give you access to your voice and your opinion.
Yep, I couldn't have said that any better, and you're absolutely right. We are here to protect your right to speak, your right to challenge, your right to do all of that. But that is so true, Jack. That is so true. Anyway, we are going to get started with a full program for you guys today. Aren't you happy about that? But beforehand, I'd just like to remind you that we do have El Senor Tom Hartman that's going to be in town on August 9th. So be sure to call into the station and get your tickets for that. And, you can get your tickets by just taking a $5 sustainer. So give the station a call, 713-526-5738, extension 1. Tell them that you want the Tom Hartman tickets, and voila. Because we have room for quite a few people for that event. So we want to centralize on that event right now. Tom Hartman, check it. He's coming to town. A lot of you love the man. Let's go ahead and see the guy. He's going to be talking a whole lot about what's happening currently and what we can do. We, the American people, can do to mitigate all of that. Anyway, we have a great show for you today, folks. The title of the show today is Red State Universities Will Get Hit by Trump's Cuts. And the big story, of course, is Senator Alex Padilla violently thrown to the ground yesterday because he simply wanted to ask a question that the Secretary Kristi Noem, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, had refused to answer, and in throwing him out, continue to refuse to answer. But, let me tell you where I want to get started. Donald Trump reversed himself yesterday. First of all, Donald Trump hasn't come close to deporting the number of people that President Obama deported during his time. He was trying to show that, yes, he was going to be, quote unquote, maintaining immigration laws in this country in the attempt to try to get Republicans to sign a comprehensive immigration bill. So he deported a ton of people, and it still didn't get Republicans on board to support a comprehensive immigration program. Even though the people that most support the president want a good immigration program to sort of bring a lot of their employees off the books. If you take a look, Donald Trump went to office saying he wants to arrest all the criminals, those criminals that come over from overseas, whether from Central America or otherwise. They're emptying their prisons, they're emptying their insane asylums, etc. For the record, those are all lies. And you know how you know they're lies? The crime rate among undocumented workers are a fraction of the crime rate of native-born Americans. A fraction of the crime rate by Americans. Okay, and that Americans don't commit a lot of crime anyway. I mean, remember when you're watching TV and you see all the major crimes? You may see a murder every week or so in Houston, or a few murders every week in Houston or so. And then you sit back and you're like, wait, Houston's population, the metropolitan area, is 4 million people. That really is a statistical anomaly. You take a look at countries, hell, my country with about 4 million people or so, country that I'm originally from. If you take a look at the murders in the country compared to the murders in Houston, I don't know this for a fact, but just watching Telenoticias Once or one of those guys, it seems to be pretty much higher. So crime in the United States, a rich country, isn't all that much. I mean, if it affects you, it's a big deal. It will always be a big deal if you're the one affected. But statistically speaking, from a statistic point of view, we have a low crime rate from a statistic, and that's why if you take a look at the United Nations places that you need to be concerned about, the United States doesn't come close to appearing on one of them, because again, we are a very safe country in the aggregate. Now that we have Donald Trump in power, if you're a foreigner, especially if you're a foreigner with any kind of melanin, it's not a safe place, because as that woman from Chile found out in New York, you could be walking the streets and the animals from ICE may hear you speak with an accent and then just arrest you. And for those of you who hear me using those derogatory terms like the animals from ICE, I do it on purpose because that's their behavior. I should actually call the rabid animals from ICE is what I should probably say to make it clearer, because there are good animals out there as well. So the rabid animals from ICE and DHS, etc., are terrorizing people. That's why all our counties in every state, red or blue alike, are going through sort of a depression when it comes to people coming to visit from overseas. They don't tell you that. Anyway, well, Donald Trump seemed to have learned, or seeming to learn something. Remember, I said that that Obama was the deporter in chief. But what Obama did is he did it smartly, right? He made sure most of these deportations came from people crossing the border before they've been established effectively in the United States, etc. But a lot of our undocumented workers have established lives in the United States and are productive citizens. They're paying taxes. In fact, they're directly responsible for the sustainability of Social Security because they pay in, but they'll never take out. So they are a net positive for Social Security and much more. So let's be very clear about that. That is where we're at. Now, Donald Trump has been his rabid animals running in fields after farmers that are picking your produce that gives you an affordable rate for your produce in the stores. They've been chasing those guys, chasing them in the fields. They've been going to people's schools. They've been going to people's homes to pick them up. And you know why they've been doing that? Because they were based on a lie. A lot of people elected these guys believing that immigrants were this violent group and that there were millions of them to deport. There were not. And he's fallen behind the numbers that he thought he was going to get. The man actually believed the lies he was telling you, man. The people that were telling him these lies to tell you, he believed them. And now he's paying the price because all these criminals that he's out there looking for, they are nowhere to be found because it was never the truth. But when you base a policy on a lie, execution becomes impossible. I'm going to continue in a minute, but it is time for me to salute many of you in the chat. I want to give a big hello to Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia, Lee the Beer Cat from Austin, Texas. I want to give a big salute to Jane V in North Carolina, Shirley, Sally Bate, Mark KJ, Kat, Carol Owens, Catherine Hill, Vicky Feedback. Cheryl Elkin says, good morning. Tomorrow, no Kings rallies. We do not suffer kings. We will not bow. Keep the pressure on everyone. It's working. Yes, it is working. Cheryl Elkins. Cheryl, where are you from again? Bear with me. You know, I forget every so often. Catherine Hill says, good morning, Egberto. John Vreesey joined as well as Who Kid One. Thank you guys for being here. Remind you that those of you that came on early on Substack, I don't get those names unless you type in and tell me where you're from, etc. All right, the first thing I want to play for you is a short take. Remember, Donald Trump based his immigration policy on a lie. The amount that is budgeted to rake people out of this country was based on a lie. You see, he depended on Steve Miller, who is a racist thug. And I say that kindly. This guy, they depended on his word and the words of people like him, people that hate the other, to make up his mind, right? This is a guy who went into a meeting with DHS and says, look, you guys, if you don't start arresting people, we are going to fire the lowest performing 10% of you. That's what he goes into a meeting and say. We will lay off 10% of the lowest performers. That's why you see DHS agents at Home Depots arresting people that you ask to come to your home and pick up some wood or fix your deck or whatever, right? A lot of us have gone, a lot of us can't afford the corporate price for fixing a deck. The one that has to feed not only the guy who is fixing your deck, but also the corporate structure that owns it. You can go off at Home Depot, go ahead and say, hey, I have a job for you to do, 4 hours, $100. Is that okay? That's $25 an hour. Or I have a job that I need done 10 hours. We will give you $250 for the day. Is that okay to come and do the work? And the guy says, oh, that is great. My work for the day. Excellent. A lot of people out there just wanting to work. Well, DHS, Stephen Miller knows that. And he runs out there and he runs around the parking lot in Home Depot and arrests hard-working people trying to feed their families. And he does that at the farmhouse. And he does that in the fields because he can't find enough criminals to deport. He cannot find enough criminals to deport. Well, he's starting to find that out because his rich farmers and his rich businessmen who depend on these laborers have told him so. So I want you to listen to the president. I want you to listen to how this little man has had to change his stance.
Let's take a look.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great.
Wait, let me go ahead. I got to do that again because silly me did not set up the right channels for it to play over. But I'll start it over right now and we'll hear it. I just processed that about a minute before the show started. Forgive me. Here we go again.
Let's take a look.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Maria.
You see, in Las Vegas and everywhere else, the people that are cleaning those rooms, the people that are sweeping those floors, the people that are cooking in those restaurants, etc. These good, hard-working people, many of them are undocumented. And the money that many of these wealthy investors in these hotels, these wealthy investors in these farms depend on are these hardworking people doing jobs that they've told the president, we can't find Americans to do these jobs. But there are people coming over here that are willing to do it to get themselves established. It plays a material effect on our economy. This is where prejudice meets reality. Prejudice meets reality. We have a lot more to talk about, but before we get there, Patrick is on the line. Patrick, come on in, my brother.
Yeah. This is coinciding with some other revelations people are having. The due process is actually to protect the innocent. They're starting to have a lot of stories come up where ICE personnel are being impersonated or doing the wrong thing. And what they're doing is they're apprehending people, and as soon as everybody is neutralized, they rob the business and leave. And that wouldn't happen if we were going through due process. We'd be able to call and verify that the people that are there are supposed to be there, and they would be handling things in a manner where they identify themselves. And so just everything about this has been wrong.
Oh, yeah. But, and also who do you think are going to be picking up all these jobs? All these guys that are hiding, putting their face behind masks. First of all, a lot of these people are, are rejects, that folks that just want to dominate others. Right. That's who a lot of these people are. But hey, guess what? The president is coming to his senses in some respects. So to our undocumented brothers and sisters that are doing those jobs out there, it seems like the reprieve, the mandatory reprieve, not because of you, but because the corporatocracy is going to clip the president's wings, maybe what it's all about. Anything else, Patrick?
No, I don't think we should back down yet, though. Definitely don't back down.
No. Let me tell you, this fascist in the office, you cannot ever cede anything to him. Yesterday, I had some private conversations with some of our folks in the chat. A lot of folks are still in despair. And my thing is, we don't need to be in despair. We just have to act. And this weekend is going to be a huge act. We are going out, as Cheryl Elkins from Massachusetts pointed out, we are going out with the No Kings rallies all over the country. in a whole lot of red states, a lot of people are getting threats about going out there and protesting. We're ignoring all of that. The protests begin, the major protests begin this Saturday. I shouldn't say begin, will continue this Saturday. Anything else, Patrick?
Just one thing, the new King's website does not have a location in Kingwood up yet, so you might want to talk to them about that.
Oh, wow. I need to tell her. And she's supposed to be calling in today. I thank you for pointing that out. I got to go ahead and see what's going on. Thank you very much, my brother.
Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. All right, let's go to John. John, come on in.
Hey, Egberto. Good morning.
How you doing? Good morning, sir. Talk to me.
Well, I watched your clips yesterday, and I got more active. I got on more social media, trying to explain to people. Listen to AOC. She explains that Medicare Advantage beautifully. It's a shame that CNN put in Dana Bash to do what she tried to do to Bernie Sanders. She picked the wrong person.
Yeah.
And so I'm becoming more active because I think what your last caller just said, no, don't stop. We have to keep going. Because one of the things I noticed is that they're distracting from this big, ugly tax bill. And I wrote Wesley Hunt and told him the same thing. I said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You should be checking the executive branch, not becoming part of them, not join MAGA. I said, that's what you've done. You're violating everything that the Constitution tells you. You swore to the Constitution. That's what you did. And that's what makes me ashamed of these people that work for ICE. Watching some clips from the LAPD last night, which they shouldn't have done. It's just things that follow the law. And you watch it, and I feel ashamed that Eddie Glaude was right. That Trump administration has exposed all these people and has empowered them to be the ugly people that they are, that live in our society, that live amongst us, the racist, the bigotry, the misogynist. They've emboldened them, and it makes me feel I feel so sad for this country right now. And being a native-born Texan, I'm ashamed of this state now. I'm not proud of Texas anymore, just because of people like Greg Abbott and Wesley Hunt.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you. So yeah, they're horrible people. They're horrible people. But let me just say one thing, right? Let's not feel ashamed of our country. Let's not feel ashamed of our state, because you know what I find wonderful. I talk to a whole lot of people, and most people are good. I'm just saying that, it's cliche, and sometimes some people think I'm naive, but I talk to so many people, and what most people are manipulated and indoctrinated, and they take advantage of certain human characteristics. There are certain humans that have the ability to have more empathy than others. Really. I can hear the empathy in your voice. When some people call in here, I can hear the lack of empathy in their voice on specific issues, right? But interestingly, and I also listen to some senators who have changed their minds on gay issues. I'm talking specifically about Republican senators and some neoliberals themselves, right? Who have changed their minds when it affected people that they could identify with. So there's that sect of people that they themselves are not complete deplorables themselves, because when that nerve hits, and you got to hit that nerve, it actually works for them. And let me tell you what I found sitting in Starbucks. And in Starbucks, I don't sit there anymore, but I used to be there every day, anywhere from 5 to 8 hours a day, both before the show and after the show, writing. And what I found is, what I found is that people, when you get to the core of people, right? I mean, they also want to think that they're good, even if their empathy isn't there or whatever. They think they're good. Those and when you get to the core, you're able to do something then. So my thing for you is exactly what you told us when you started talking here, and that is, don't stop. Don't stop. Keep it up. We're right, and we know we are. We're right, and we will eventually get all these clowns out of there. And those that are immutable will just be on the sidelines. They'll remain immutable. They will remain who they are on the sidelines, but we will make them irrelevant. But anyway, anything else, John?
Yeah. Let me leave you with this. I've been listening to your program, and I finally decided to call in, but I learned much more by listening than you do by talking.
Amen.
So that's what I've done. That's what I've done. Listen to you. And the last thing, 70302, let's get rid of it. Write your congressman. We need to get rid of it.
What is that, sir?
That's a section that weakens the court in the big, ugly bill.
Oh, got you. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay, absolutely
that's
so.
To be promoted. We have to get rid of that. That has got to be taken out in committee in the Senate.
Well, it shouldn't be difficult because at all these Republican, the Republican rallies, not rallies, but where they talk to their people, town halls, every single Republican that was presented with why is that there, they claim they didn't know it was there. They claim they don't agree with it.
Yeah, nobody reads the bill. No,
right.
Because if you worship somebody, you just follow their lead. You don't know. You don't think. That's what's wrong with being a conservative. You're not progressive. You don't think. Quit calling it liberal. Progressive. Thank
you, John. Let's keep the power on. And folks, don't forget, this weekend, go to nokings.org, and find out where you need to be to go ahead and say, we are going to bring this country back. Thank you, John. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
All right, let's go to brother Jimmy, line 1. Jimmy, how are you doing, my brother?
Good to talk to you, Egberto. I'm supporting No King's Day because President Donald Trump is acting like a king with all of his executive orders that are against our Constitution. And I know where two of the rallies are. They're Houston City Hall from 10 to 12, tomorrow on Bagby, and also out in Katy, Texas, where I'm going, at 901 Avenue C from 12 to 1. And I'm urging other people to come, bring signs, and be prepared to speak about why you're there. And we'll have a rally, a successful rally in Katy and other locations around the country. It's a very important demonstration against Trump, who's acting more like a king every day, banning people from coming to the USA, putting huge tariffs on all kinds of friendly countries. He's doing things that no other president would do, and he's sending out 2,000 troops to Los Angeles. Incidentally, Governor Abbott is sending out 5,000 troops tomorrow around the state. So things are getting pretty crazy out there.
Well, we are expecting that those troops are just going to be a way for Greg Abbott to give money to his friends to mobilize them, because the truth of the matter is our people are very well behaved. You may have a few anarchists that try to infiltrate these groups, but the people that are talking about No Kings, these are very respectful. This is your mother, your brother, your sister, your auntie, not going out there and throwing rocks. Those folks that are throwing rocks and doing all these things, those are provocateurs. And it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of them are provocateurs that are paid for by external forces. But anything else, brother?
That's all. Just want to repeat, Houston City Hall tomorrow from 10 to 12, and Katy, Texas, 901 Avenue C from 12 to 1. I'll be there. I'm going to be wearing my KPFT shirt also.
All right. I love to hear that. We are also having one in Kingwood, Texas, at the intersection of Kingwood Drive and Lake Houston Boulevard. That is where we used to have Occupy Kingwood, and we did Occupy Kingwood there for 52 consecutive weeks. 52 consecutive weeks. We went out there on Saturdays and occupied that corner and made a whole and presented quite a bit. But thank you very much, Jimmy. And by the way, Jimmy, again, I want to thank you for the great support that you gave us during the fund drive, brother. All right, let's go to Bard, line 3. Come on in, Bard.
Yes, good morning. I can't believe you wasted 52 Saturdays going out there, but this thing about the No Kings, I find it so funny that you're supporting that when you always talk bad about oligarchs and Walmart. And the main sponsor of this is Kristi Walton, who just so happens to be Sam Walton's daughter, who is the owner of Walmart. And if he knew what she was doing with that money, he would be rolling over in his grave.
Wow.
But, you know,
wow.
the reason Walmart does this is because they want to keep their low wage, their pipeline of low wage employees coming in. And that's the reason they're doing this. It's going to be a failure because it's too spread out. But they want to keep the low wage employees coming in who they also train to sign up for welfare. So it's a double suck on the system.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
You'll find employees of Walmart are on welfare.
You know what? It's so interesting, Bard. You know, in your case, my brother, and I say this respectfully, a clock is always right twice a day. And you were actually right about what Walmart. Let me finish. I made you talk. Let me finish. I find, first of all, thank you for pointing out a very important reality, and that is Walmart, because of Walmart wages, etc., they actually have many of their own employees on welfare, and that is what we fight for. Now, when it comes to, I'll tell you a story. On my website, in the days when ads used to pay, one of the reasons I could have sustained myself for a while after leaving my company and advertise and living off of a website, etc., was because in the early days of websites, a lot of companies would throw their ads on my site. There was a system that brought it on, and there were oil companies that used to put a lot of ads on my site, etc., right? And I would have a lot of my progressive brothers and sisters call in and, I can't believe you have an Exxon website. I mean, an Exxon ad. I didn't control the ads, but they were appearing on my website. And I can't believe you had an Exxon ad on your website. And I would tell them, isn't it great to have the company that we are actually fighting against fund us, use some of those excess profits to fund us? It's money well spent. And that's what I'll say to you. If Miss Walton wants to support these, help support this movement, thank you, Miss Walton. In fact, after we have made sure that Walmart pays a living wage and do the right things, we would also continue to thank you. The thing about it is not about hating anybody. It's about doing the right thing. All right, Bard, what else do you need to tell me?
Yeah, I guess the question I wanted to ask you was, why are these guys waving the Mexican flag? They don't want to go back there.
No, that's not why they're doing it. You said you had a question. Let me answer it for you. I'll answer it for you. They have that is sort of a solidarity with their culture, not their nationality or allegiance. It's a thing that they are of Mexican descent, and that's what the flag represents to them. But they will always support and fly the American flag. It's the same reason that I wear a hat with the Panamanian flag on. That is my identity. But I am an American, and I will go fight and defend America. But it's the same reason, even though this one has negative connotations, why many of our racist Southerners fly the the Confederate flag, right? The Confederate flag is flown by people who committed treason on the United States of America. So if you feel negatively against somebody flying a Mexican flag, remember California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona are conquered lands from Mexico. A lot of the people that are there originally are descendants of the people who were conquered. They didn't commit treason, but those who are flying the Confederate flag, they committed treason. And I don't hear you talking about that. But Bart, once again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to sort of explain that for many people who that narrative would normally have worked for. It doesn't. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
I broke my fast. I had to call in. I'll wait another week before I do it again. But
Bruce, we always want to hear your voice. Bruce, go ahead. Make your point, sir.
First, I want to thank Jimmy, Johnny, and Patrick. I learn every time they call in. When Trump deployed the 700 Marines to California, I keep hearing from people over and over. I've got a relative in the service, and they said they would never deploy against U.S. citizens. They consider that illegal order. Court-martial, they'd argue that point in court-martial. It didn't happen with any of them. What Trump's doing right now, I promise you, is he's making phone calls and he's talking to people. He cannot cover 1,500 No Kings rallies. So what he's going to do is take blue states, high-profile cities, and he's going to try to make examples of a few of them with mass arrests. It's going to backfire on him big time politically. I'm done.
Thank you, Bruce. We are going to be peaceful. These marches are going to be peaceful. And like one of the organizers sent me a note and said, hey, we're getting threats, or hey, this is going to happen. What I told her is, look, first of all, disregard the threats. Let the FBI know of the threats. And after we let the FBI know of the threats, we let people know that we've alerted the FBI of the threats. And at the same time, we go out there and we're 100% peaceful, of course, with our eyes open and, be careful, but our eyes well open. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
I seriously doubt that any MAGA Republican would want to debate that it's Friday the 13th.
Why did you remind me about that, Johnny?
Because I was thinking about the emotions I experienced yesterday. Shame and sadness are not what came to my head when I was watching Senator Padilla being manhandled the way he was by those MAGA sympathetic law enforcement agents outside of Kristi Noem's little conference there. What I was feeling was anger, visceral hatred, and a desire for revenge. That's right. I'm a human. I admit it. I can't always control myself, but guess what? If I was a policeman, the last thing I would be doing when I put on that uniform and badge at the start of my workday is not acting like an a-hole every day towards people that may not look like me. We have a serious problem in this country when a United States senator is needing to challenge or ask questions of another official from a different branch of the government. And she says later to reporters, he didn't identify himself. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that if I'm showing up, if I'm just a plain old guy, Joe Blow, U.S. citizen showing up, wanting to challenge or ask questions or file a complaint in an open meeting, that all of a sudden that I deserve to be arrested and manhandled in the hallway once I'm far away from you? What kind of a democracy, what kind of a country are we living in? This did not start with this. We got our first hint of what would happen. You remember when Donald Trump was first elected, or maybe it was during the campaign? I can't remember now. You remember one of his guys, was it a campaign advisor?
Yeah. Uh-oh. We lost Johnny. Johnny, call back. But yeah, it was one of his campaign advisors that knocked up somebody. And it's not the only time. He actually pushed one of the Latino reporters out of the press conference. It seems, it always seems to be that the people they manhandled are, people of color. I can't remember the name of the reporter that he put out there. Is one of the most popular Latino reporters in not only in the country but in the world. And they pushed him out of there. And this time it was a Latino Latino senator that they threw on the ground as nothing. Let's go to Betty. Betty, come on in, Betty. We'll be with Betty in 1 second. But Betty is going to be on in a minute. But that's what he did. Betty, you're on.
Oh, okay. I'm on what?
You are on KPFT 90.1 FM, or beautiful Betty.
Oh, okay. You sound good this morning. I want to talk some bad things about America. It's the immigrants. We need the immigrants, Egberto. When they come over here and they shake us up and make us realize that what we take for granted, America. The immigrants need to kick us out. How many born Americans rape, kill our children? How many abuse and beat their girlfriends and wives or killed? It is a growing thing, from the backwoods to the big city, traumatizing so many. Cry, cry. I love y'all. Bye-bye.
Love you too, Betty. Folks, look, let's be clear here. It's about humanity, right? All humans, all humans, all humans. Welcome aboard. Buddy Flood says, it is surprising Trump will actually admit he needs to change his policies on deporting immigrants. And we have in the house as well, Mark Ali Curtis said she married into the Waltons. I hear you, Mark Ali Curtis. We also have Richard Brown, who says, good morning. I'm from Louisiana. Thank you so kindly for chiming in, Senor Richard Brown. And if I missed you, drop me a line or let me know where you're from. I'd like to call you out. Let's bring back Johnny, who is back and connected. Johnny, come on in.
Yeah, not to waste too much time, but this was during the first term in office, or just prior to, during the election maybe. One of his campaign managers, I believe it was, in the hallway, out after a conference or news presentation, he manhandled the reporter.
Yes.
Physically, for no reason at all. And that guy could have, I don't know if that guy filed assault charges against him, but that told you all you needed to know about what would be coming ahead with this guy in the White House. And to see those guys handle Senator Padilla the way they did you notice how they seemed almost gleeful, putting him down on the ground and face down and reaching behind to get their cups in the cup? That reminded me of that Border Patrol agent in the khakis who was kicking over gallons of drinking water in the desert, humanitarian aid, water put by volunteers to help immigrants traveling across the desert to the United States to help them stay alive. And he was just emptying those gallons of water onto the desert sand with a big smile on his face. That's what I got when I saw those law enforcement handling Padilla the way they did.
Yeah, it was the same thing that you're speaking to the way the Trump goons handle Jorge Ramos. When he decided to ask a question he didn't like, and he threw them out. But this is the same Trump as well that told people, go knock them across the head, anybody who decides to heckle him, and he'll pay for their bail. He'll pay for their legal costs. So that's the kind of person that we have as president of the United States. Again, just your basic mob boss kind of a guy. Anything else, Johnny?
And our friend Breitbart loves that kind of stuff. Breitbart, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. As many criticisms as we have for the Walmart dynasty, we have to restructure the way they do things. You don't blow up their buildings and then create more havoc for the employees. Okay?
Exactly. Thank you very much, Johnny. Thank you very much, Johnny. Cheryl Elkins get the point. She says it's the visual they need, the spectacle they need to reinforce their base manipulation of the media. They get a dopamine hit from this behavior. They've been conditioned to it now. And that is you nailed it. They've done psychological magic. If you take a look at how they've converted people to be evil, how they've converted people to be non-empathetic, and then they have to continue feeding that drug and a little bit more to their people, because that's the fix they need. They need that fix for two reasons, though, Cheryl. They need that fix for two reasons. Reason number one is, yes, for control, but reason number two is to take the people's eyes off the ball. But like I told many on the 3:00 show yesterday, if Trump's big ugly bill comes to pass, nobody's going to be able to hide the damage that it's going to do, not to the other Americans, but that it's actually going to do to MAGA proper. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian. Brian will be in one little bit. And while we wait for Brian, I want to suggest to people that Tom Hartman is coming in on August 9th, and we have a lot of tickets available for Tom Hartman. So please consider calling up if you're in the Houston metropolitan area. Call up and get yourself a few Tom Hartman tickets and come see Tom Hartman. It's going to have a lot to talk about. So just call 713-526-5738 extension 1 and get yourself a couple of Tom Hartman tickets. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, I'm here. I've got three things as far as a statement. You haven't condemned the riots that went on in L.A. You haven't condemned them. You're actually promoting them. Okay. The second thing is, it's in the Constitution. You need to read it. Where is it that it's protest? It's peaceable assembly. It's not. I don't know who made that. What I don't really remember. Maybe the 14th. But it's not protest. It's not a protest when you take a rock and throw it at a police officer whose job it is to protect the Constitution. And the third and final thing is there's 700 Marines that are out there. And if they are assigned to protect a federal building, that is their job. And trust me, those 700 Marines, they are going to protect that federal building against someone that has a mask and is throwing a firebomb at them. You have to remember, you want a peaceful protest? The Marine Corps, they're peaceful protectors. You better watch out what you're promoting.
Okay, yeah, I do have an answer. First of all, protest is a form of free speech, whether you want to accept it or not. And it seemed like you were willing to accept violent protests on January 6th. I don't see that you complain much about what they did to officers. Number two, it seems to me like, by the way, posse comitatus, no, you can't have the Marines enforce these laws. You can try to spin it however you want. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional, and it so will be deemed. But since our lines have just lit up, I won't answer all the complete questions to you right away, but I'll do it as the program goes on. Thank you very much, Brian. You have a wonderful day. Let's go to Joni. Come on in, Joni, line 3.
Egberto, just wanted to address these demonstrations that are coming up, and I'm glad to see that people are out there exercising their right to free speech. But I would encourage everyone to take a page from Martin Luther King Jr.'s book, because he knew that if he marched peacefully and he, no matter what people were saying to him or no matter what happened, and he encouraged others to do the same, that it would draw out and people would be able to see the monstrosity that he was up against and that he was fighting without violence. When people call in and encourage, whether they're from the left or the right, and are, speaking in an angry tone, which I understand completely. Or, and I also, the protest, I went to the last protest that,
50501, yeah.
Yes. So I went to that, and people were peaceful. I didn't like seeing the curse words on the signs, because I'm thinking to myself, I hope that people keep in mind that you want the children who might be watching to be able to see who the bad guys are, and be able to make that a clear distinction. So walk peacefully. Walk with compassion. You have right on your side. So there's no need to take up arms. You're not going to win in an armed fight, in an armed conflict. So, because they're way outgunned. Some of these people have been in their mama's basement, keeping their pennies to buy weapons for 30 years. So you're not going to win that one, but you can win by showing up, being peaceful, and walking with your head up, because you have right on your side. And I question anybody else that calls up and says we need to get incensed and get violent, because and if they say call themselves progressive, I don't know. I doubt it. I think that a lot of people would love to see people fight so that they get to start martial law, and then now we do have a dictator for real. And martial law, once that happens, they can go door to door, just like they do in Iraq, Iran. They can start, really, really ramping it up if we're violent. So just wanted to say that. Thank you for what you do, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Joni. I want to say Independent Voter 1 on Substack gets it. He says, I should have caught that. He says, these are not riots. We have been peaceful, protesting for months in California. LAPD can take care of it anyway. Let's go to Jim, line 4. Come on in, Jim, line 4. Jim, you're on line 4. All right. One more second to wait for Jim on line 4. Line 4, Jim. All right. Let's go to Bruce, line 2. Bruce, you're on line. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead, Bruce.
I'll be real fast. I couldn't call in without having something smart aleck to say. So I have a new moniker, a new name for our draft dodging coward, and that's Commander-in-Chief. I'm done.
Thank you, my brother. All right, let's go to Jimmy, line 1.
Yes. I was just wondering about the protest, how I guess it's focused on arresting people that are here illegally, I guess. But it just seems to me that this isn't a new law. It's always been the law of the land. There's no country without borders. It's like you don't just leave your front door open at home. And then
that's not the purpose of the protest. No, that's not the purpose of the protest, sir. Yeah, No. The No Kings protest is a completely different thing. Immigration is just one issue, but the No Kings protest is a protest that pretty much points out that Donald Trump is not a king. He has to follow laws. And it doesn't have to do with immigration solely, it just has to do with Donald Trump following the laws and not being a king. The name says it. Anything else, Jimmy?
I guess that's it. I mean, I don't know about calling it all peaceful and stuff, because when I look at videos and pictures of California, I mean, I suppose Texas probably won't be the same, because California it just seems like a different world over there. But
you know why it seems like a different world? Hold on, Jimmy. You know why it seems like a different world? Because Fox News makes you believe it looks like. Do you realize that those pictures that you're seeing? Let me finish. Whatever you watch, because it's not only Fox News, it's all the permutations thereof. But let me just tell you this. Anywhere that made you believe that California or LA is on fire is lying to you. There are 4 city blocks in California near the federal building where all of this is occurring. And the news media would have you believe that all this stuff is occurring throughout Los Angeles. That's not the case. They did the same thing in Portland. They did the same thing all over. These are very comparatively small protests. Small. And they blow it up and make you believe that there's something different occurring in LA than what's going on. Thank you, Jimmy. I got to go to Patrick.
Well, yeah, whatever. Regardless,
Right.
it's a Kodiak or a Canon camera. A picture tells 1,000 words.
There you go. And the way you pan a picture, I do videos quite a bit, sir. The way you pan a picture can tell.
American flags that are upside down while waving in a Mexican flag.
Well, and what about when, sir? Don't you see people waving? Don't you see people waving the Confederate flag? A flag that represents no, it's no difference. That represents yes. Actually, they do. Remember the people who said you will not replace us? They actually murdered people. They actually ran into people. Again, you have to see things not through colored eyes or not through your prejudices. Remember this, sir. Flying the Confederate flag is an act of treason. All right, let's go ahead to Patrick real quick. Patrick, come on in.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
Good morning, sir. Talk to me.
For Bard, the only thing that Walmart's involved in is they advertise for it. It's not Move On, I believe, is backing the No King's Day, and so is Indivisible. And yes, she's backing it for her own interests, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good thing. Next, the last caller, most of Europe has a freedom to roam, and they do have borders, but nobody stops you on them. You can take a train through several borders before being stopped. So the rest of the world is not like us. And a lot of countries do not put walls around their borders because they know they're ineffective.
Thank you, Patrick. I got one more call to take, and I only got 30 seconds. So let's finish this up on 3 o'clock, okay?
Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Let's go. Johnny, you got 30 seconds.
Yeah. So Brain is upset about rocks thrown at cops. So I guess fire extinguishers and flagpoles they should have brought to that bridge, huh? And by the way, you already pointed this out, so I'll point out one more time. When they fly those Confederate flags and they cry, "It's our heritage, it's our heritage," what's the difference when the people that are flying U.S. flags and Mexican flags side by side? What does that say?
Gotta go. But you're absolutely right. Flying the Confederate flag is an act of treason. Anyway, folks, let's go ahead and remember this. You can find the rest of the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can also write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Please go ahead and get those Tom Hartman tickets. Call 713-526-5738, extension numero 1, and get those Tom Hartman tickets. Love you all of you. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom,